An estimated 11,000 people are currently experiencing homelessness in Sacramento City and County. Contributing factors include the 2019 ruling in Martin v. City of Boys, which restricts the ability of jurisdictions to enforce local anti-camping laws if they do not have enough shelter beds to offer those living outdoors. The county public health officer also instructed local governments not to disrupt camps during the pandemic for fear of spreading COVID-19. Mayor Darrell Steinberg proposed that the City of Sacramento establish a right to housing effective January 1st, 2023. Each person offered at least 2 forms of shelter or housing would have the obligation to accept one. The ordinance would not impose criminal or civil penalties on those who refuse, but simply allow the city to enforce a prohibition on camping.
Is that it shall be the public policy of the City of Sacramento that everyone lives indoors. Let me go to the ordinance itself. First of all, the ordinance defines housing as permanent dwelling. A house or apartment or a hotel room, a converted hotel room, Project Home Key. Then we get to it's all controversial, the second part of it, the obligation to accept shelter and housing. I understand the fear, maybe of some advocates, maybe of some members, that really this is just a hidden way to deal with the tent encampment issue and to clean up the city. Okay, I wrote this.
In April 2021, the Sacramento Homeless Union shared pictures and testimonies from inside Project Room K. In spite of having millions of dollars in funding, the accommodations look like something out of a horror movie. In addition to reports of blood on mattresses, holes in walls, no refrigerators or microwave, and mold, participants in the program showed that they aren't allowed to have any guests and often are confined to their rooms for all but 30 minutes a day.
We have no clarity currently on Martin v. Boise. I don't care what anyone says. If the person refuses after a long period of time, and maybe we need to define it in the ordinance, then the simple remedy is not criminalization, it's not civil penalties, it's none of that. It's simply to say you can't camp where you are currently camping. That when we build these facilities, whatever they are, we ought to give the city manager the right to set up a no camping zone around the homeless facilities. You see what's happening with I think that internally the safe ground at 6th and W and X has been a big success.
New tonight in the homeless crisis, what happens when city designated so-called safe ground sites aren't so safe? Sacramento attorney Mark Reichel shared this video as cars from Highway 50 unknowingly sprayed water from the weekend storm down on an already flooded so-called safe ground site off 6th and W Street.
People here are living like rats.
The Sacramento Homeless Union opposes the mayor's right to shelter with enforcement ordinance. The mayor's right to shelter plan with enforcement is a sickly worded ordinance to force people into internment-style camps through fear and intimidation using criminalization.
And a right to housing is actually, it looks like eviction moratorium, and it looks like communities not being held hostage by their landlords because the rent's increasing. And why would you need to coerce people into this situation if it was actually a good situation? See, I've been unhoused for quite a long time in this city, and I've been in a lot of these programs. I've been a youth in the city for the last 5 years and had to navigate that whole fucking program myself. And I've been offered PSH, and all I gotta say is they tell you straight up, permanent supportive housing is not permanent. You guys could do a lot better just giving people money and not giving it directly to people in need and not to these poverty pimps. This is coercion. That's all I gotta say. And I know the mayor still has lots to learn on the basics of consent, but you wouldn't need to force people to do that if you know, if it felt like it was going to be a safe option for them.
That's what we're doing. Some things work to some levels. I mean, we housed, 2,700 people last year, and that's something to be proud of. What's not great is that 3,000 people slipped in behind them into homelessness, and we can't afford that.
I'll be honest, I don't like this ordinance. I don't think that the push that you talked about this creating, I don't think that this ordinance is the way to do it, because it's not, in my mind, a functional approach to deal with. Another issue that we have to tackle, and Katie alluded to this, is about enforcement. There are very different ideas about what enforcement means.
And so if I have to choose between what you call autonomy and driving to get people in a safer place, I'm going to choose health and safety. That's my balance, different from yours.